Clérigos Tower, Torre dos Clérigos in Portuguese, is the tallest campanile in Portugal. It stands 249 feet, or 76 meters tall, and climbing its 200 steps will give you a privileged view over the city and the river. When you climb up, you'll come across 49 bells, which form a large carillon, and that can give you quite a fright if you're in the bell tower when they ring. You'll see that the effort of climbing all of those steps will have been worthwhile once you reach the top and look out from the tower's observation deck over Porto. Its tall bell tower, the Clérigos Tower, can be seen from various points of the city and is one of its most characteristic symbols.
The Dom Luís First Bridge is a double-deck metal arch bridge that spans the River Douro between the cities of Portugal and Vila Nova de Gaia in Portugal. At its construction, its 172 meter span was the longest of its type in the world. It has been confused with the nearby Maria Pia Bridge, a railway bridge that was built 9 years earlier and located 1 kilometer to the east, that is similar in aspect to the Luís First Bridge.
Inside this neoclassical building, classified as a national monument, you will find at first the large central courtyard, the Pátio das Nações, covered by a glass structure that allows a large amount of light to enter the palace. Going up a beautiful granite and marble staircase, on the second floor you will go through spaces such as the Golden Room, covered with gold bread, the General Assembly Room, which seems covered with wood, and some other rooms until you reach the most important one, the Arab Room. In the more than 300 square meters of this Moorish-style room, inspired by the Alhambra, official receptions are held.
The Monastery of Serra do Pilar is a former monastery located in Vila Nova de Gaia, Portugal, on the opposite side of the Douro River from Porto. The monastery is situated on an outcrop overlooking the Dom Luís First Bridge and the historic center of Porto. The Monastery of Serra do Pilar's unique design is influenced by Renaissance and Mannerist elements. The church and cloister are both circular with identical diameters. The church in the west and the cloister in the east are separated by a rectangular choir and chapel. Together with these locations, the monastery was designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1996. The monastery is notable for its church and cloister, both of which are circular.
Built in the highest point in the city, the Sé Cathedral is the most important religious building in Porto. The Porto Cathedral, Sé do Porto in Portuguese, is the most important religious edifice in the city and has been declared a national monument. It is situated in the upper part of Porto. The cathedral is in Batalha, very close to the walls that once protected the city. The construction of the cathedral began during the 12th century, but it was rebuilt and renovated numerous times throughout the centuries. This explains why this cathedral is a mix of architectural styles.
Church of St. Francis is the most prominent Gothic monument in Porto, Portugal, being also noted for its outstanding Baroque inner decoration. It is located in the historic center of the city, declared World Heritage Site by UNESCO. The Franciscan Order was established in Porto around 1223. Initially, the order was antagonized by the secular and clergy of the other religious institutions, particularly by the Bishop of Porto. They began building the convent and a small first church dedicated to St. Francis of Assisi around 1244. A fire caused by the Siege of Porto in 1832 destroyed the old cloisters, and in its place, the Commercial Association of the city built the Stock Exchange Palace, or Palacio da Bolsa, a magnificent example of 19th century neoclassical architecture.
São Bento railway station in Porto was opened to the public in 1916 on the site of a former Benedictine monastery. The station is located in the historic center of Porto, which has been declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site and as a National Monument of Portugal. Although the train station is striking from outside, the real beauty lies inside. The main hall is breathtaking with over 20,000 tiles that reflect the history of Portugal. The murals represent moments in the country's history, and the multicolored panels depict rural scenes showing the people of various regions. This building was constructed over a number of years, starting in 1904 based on plans by architect José Marques da Silva. The large panels of azulejo tile were designed and painted by Jorge Colas. The station also serves the Minho, Braga, Guimarães, Caídos Marco de Canaveses, and Aveiro lines.
There is a small and intriguing little chapel built on top of a rock situated right on the shoreline of the Atlantic Ocean that commands an amazing view both out to sea and to the white sandy beach stretching in front of it. The place is Miramar, located in the parish of Gupilhas, just south of Porto in the north of Portugal. The chapel of hexagonal design is called Senhor da Pedra, or Lord of the Rock, and was built in 1686 and restored in 1996. Two large blue and white hand-painted tile-side panels side either side of the magnificent wooden front entrance door, both making mention of the pagan temple that once existed there and the importance of archaeological finds also on the spot. Porto's rich history dates back thousands of years, but it wasn't until the 17th century that the city became known for its fortified wines. The name of Porto itself dates back to before the 4th century BC, when the Romans named their settlement on the northern banks of the Douro River Porto Scale. The Romans grew grapes and made wine here, continuing a history of viticulture that stretches back to the Tartessians, who planted vines in the Sado and Tagus valleys around 2000 BC. It wasn't until 1756 that Porto gained an official appellation, when the then Portuguese Prime Minister, the Marquis of Pombal, established boundaries and regulations for the production of authentic port from the Douro.
Designated to mark the festive year of 2001, in which the city of Porto was designated European Capital of Culture, Casa da Música is the first building in Portugal aimed from its conception to be exclusively dedicated to music, either in public performances or in the field of artistic training and creation. The building is shaped as a 9-floor high asymmetrical polyhedron covered in plaques of white cement, cut by large undulated or plain glass windows. Its isolated architectural form deeply set back from adjacent streets, including main Avenida da Boa Vista, and from the city's prime ceremonial public space, Praça Mouzinho de Albuquerque, is evocative of the hull of a ship beached at low tide. It deliberately ignores and challenges the neoclassical order of converging avenues and the vast oval of continuous blocks centered on a tall monument to the heroes of the Peninsular War that has defined the Praça.
Located right in the very heart of Porto, Serralves Park extends beyond Casa de Serralves across 18 hectares, including gardens, copses, a rose garden, and a romantic lake, to provide the ideal refuge for anyone wishing to escape the hustle and bustle of the city. Beginning at Casa de Serralves, headquarters of the foundation of the same name, there is a formal garden, one of the most notable examples of landscape gardening of the 20th century. It stretches over 500 meters towards the River Douro. At the far end, there is a stairway leading down to a romantic lake set on a lower level.